Hello students, myself Muniraj Naidu, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, Hyderabad. So in the previous class, we discussed about introduction about the computer networks. Now, today we are going to discuss about protocol layering. So, what is meant by protocol and what are the various scenarios to explain about this protocol layering? Why this particular protocol layering is important, particularly in computer networks? And what are the various network models? Right? So, coming to this protocol layering, we know what is meant by protocol. See, a protocol is a set of rules and guidelines for communicating data. So we know in case of computer networks, each and every node must communicate to access some data. So for that, each and every network must define some rules for communication purpose. That particular communication may take place between either two nodes or two computers or two networks. So simply say that a protocol is a set of rules and guidelines for communicating data. Here, the rules are defined for each and every step and process during communication between two or more computers. So, in another way, we can define this particular protocol is a standard set of rules which allows electronic devices to communicate with each other. So that depends upon the application. Here we can mention that electronic devices. So whatever the devices which are ready to communicate to each other, there exists some standard set of rules which describes the protocol. Particularly in computer networks, a network protocol is established a set of rules which determines how the actual data is transmitted between the various devices in the same network. So there are a number of definitions for this protocol. In data communication and networking, a protocol which defines the rules that both sender as well as the receiver and whatever the intermediate devices need to follow to be able to communicate effectively. See, for example, this is one particular network. See, this is my source node and this is my destination node. So, in between, there are number of intermediate devices are there. See, whenever this particular source node wants to communicate with the destination node through some intermediate nodes. This is the path, for example. This is the path. So, this source node as well as this destination node must follow some particular protocol for data transmitting purpose. In the same scenario here, this particular protocol defines the rules which uses both sender as well as the receiver. In addition to that, the intermediate nodes. So these are the intermediate nodes. So all these nodes follows the same rules for data transmitting purpose. See, let us take two scenarios. Let us develop two simple scenarios to better understand the need for protocol layering. See, the first scenario, this is very simple. So here we need to describe this first scenario with the help of the single layer protocol. Right? So in the first scenario, the communication is so simple. That means it can occur only in one layer. So you are already familiar with this Alice and Bob communication. So here for understanding purpose, here we can take two persons' names, that is Maria and Anne. These are the neighbors with a lot of common ideas. So what happens whenever this Maria and Anne need to communicate, right? So what are the various ways to communication? So first of all, either face to face, right? So whenever we need to introduce someone with face to face, definitely there exists some language. So here the language acts as a media between those two persons. See, there's the same scenario here, the single layer protocol which describes, see, this is Maria, this is Anne. Right, these two persons belongs to the same layer. For example, you can describe it as the layer 1. So what is the media between these two persons whenever they need to interact with face to face? We know air. Air is the transmission medium. So what are the various methods to access the data as well as the to transmit the data? Only see, listen as well as the talk. Listen. So what Anne said, the Maria listens. What Maria talks, the same thing the Anne will be listen. So this is the scenario. We need to describe that what is meant by protocol, how the actual communication takes place between the two nodes or two persons. Right? See, this is the very simple scenario. Here we can see that a set of rules need to be followed. What are those rules? First of all, the Maria and Anne knows that they should greet each other when they meet. Hi, how are you? So myself, Anne. Second thing, they know that they should confine their vocabulary to the level of their friendship. Isn't it? So what is the language we need to communicate? Right? So how much time we need to communicate? So there are a number of scenarios are there. Then third one, each and every party knows that she should refrain some speaking when the other party is speaking. So that's why here we can call it as a listen or talk. So, and then after that, each and every party knows that the conversion should be a dialogue, right? Because they need to interact with face to face. So both should have the opportunity to talk about one particular issue. So let us take this pandemic issue. And last one, we should exchange some nice words when they leave. Okay, thank you. I accept your words. Okay, we will meet tomorrow. Thank you. Bye bye. Something, right? So we can see that the protocol used both by Maria as well as the Anne is different from the communication between a professor as well as the students in a lecture hall. So this is we can call it some official conversation between professor as well as the students. Whereas Maria and Anne, those two may be neighbors or friends. So their communication may be different. See, the communication in the second case is mostly monologue because the professor talks most of the time unless a student has a question. So we need to describe this particular situation in which the protocol dictates that she should raise her hand and wait for permission to speak. So that is a common scenario in any class. Is it right? So whenever a professor speaks something, so if any student wants to communicate with the professor, so they need to say that, hello sir, excuse me sir, I am having some doubt, like this. So they need to take permission to speak. So in this case, the communication is normally very formal and limited to the subject being taught. Is that right? So that depends upon the scenario or depends upon the application. This particular protocol defines the various layers. See, the second scenario. In the second scenario, we assume that Anne is offered a high level position in her company but needs to move to another branch located in city very far from Maria. So, these two are the friends. So, the two friends still wants to continue their communication and exchange ideas because they have come up with an innovative project to start a new business. See, what happened whenever these two nodes, assume that Maria and Anne, these two are different nodes or different computers. So, what happens when they are located very near to each other? So, they need to communicate with the air some vocabulary. Right. So, whenever there is a scenario, call it as a both Maria as well as the Anne, those two nodes not located in the same region, then they decide to continue their conversation using regular mail through the post office. So, there is another communication. Is it right? So, we can call it as a direct as well as the indirect communication. Right? Now, what happens here? They don't want their ideas to be revealed by other people if the letters are intercepted. So, the scenarios while you are using the postal system, at that time only covers are there. So, whatever the data we need to send through that particular covers, so there is a chance to someone maybe access that particular cover, right? So what happens here? We need to maintain some secrecy. Whatever the data both Arya and man needs to transmit, we need to maintain some secrecy. So that's why they both, Maria as well as the Anne, agree on some encryption or decryption technique. So we know what is meant by encryption and what is meant by decryption. So simply say that conversion of plain text to the ciphertext, that is called as a encryption process, and the conversion of ciphertext to the plain text, which is called as a decryption process. Right. So in this way, this particular two nodes or two person need to communicate with the help of the encryption or decryption technique. See, this is the three-layer protocol. Three-layer protocol. See, what happens here? Whenever Maria as well as the Anne maintains some encryption or decryption technique, right? How it will works? See here, Maria as well as the Anne. See, first of all, they need to identify, so what is the mechanism we need to communicate to each other. So let us say, for example, they need to communicate with the help of the mail, right, or postal department. See, this is the, we can call it as a data which is ready to transmit from one node to the another node, right? See, the layer 1, here we have 3 layers. Layer 1, layer 2, layer 3. So what happens in case of layer 1, see both the scenarios. Layer 1, send a mail or receive a mail. That is the purpose of the layer 1, right? So how this particular transaction will complete means with the help of some carrier. So here we can mention that particular carrier as a postal carrier facility. So whatever the mail from Maria, that particular mail transmits and it sends to the Anne. Then the next level. So whatever the information, we can call it as the original text. That particular original text here we can call it as a plain text. Plain text, right? So that particular plain text is encrypted and converted into the ciphertext. Right? So similarly, the same thing will happen at the another side, that is at the receiver side. So what happens at the receiver side? Receiver receives the decryption form. Now there we need to again convert that particular ciphertext into the plain text. So that means here we need to maintain some encryption or decryption technique to maintain our data as secrecy. Right. So this is the 3-layer protocol. Now coming to the, what are the various principles of protocol layering? We know we have 2 principles of protocol layering. So first one is the first principle which dictates that if you want bidirectional communication, then we need to make each layer so that it is able to perform 2 opposite tasks, one in each direction. Right. So what happens whenever 2 nodes are ready to perform some task, then automatically one task may be in one direction and another task may be in another direction. Right. See, for example, the 3rd layer task is to listen. In the previous example, the 3rd layer task is only to listen in only one direction and talk in the another direction. Is it right? Then the 2nd layer needs to be able to both encrypt as well as the decrypt the information. See here, this is the layer 2, encrypt as well as the decrypt. Whereas the layer 3 only either listen or talk. So similarly, the first layer needs to send or receive an email. So that means what are the various principles of protocol layering? All these principles specifies that how actually the data may be transmitted, right? Who is the source and who is the destination, and what is the transmission medium. Then second principle. In the second principle, we need to follow protocol layering in that 2 objects under each layer at both sides should be identical. That means, see, for example, the object under the layer 3, the object under at the layer 3. So what happens in case of layer 3? Either listen as well as the talk. At both sides should be plain text letter. plain text letter. See, for example, I need to send a message, right? How are you? How are you? See, this is my plain text, right? So whenever I need to apply some encryption or decryption technique, right? For example, here I am applying the secrecy code is for each and every alphabet plus 2. That means next second character may be in the secret form, right? See, H, A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I, J, A, B, C, D, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q. So like this, in place of H, I need to replace J. In place of O, I need to replace with Q according to this particular principle, right? See, this particular second principle says that we need to follow in protocol layering in the two objects under each layer at both sides should be identical. At the same time, this is the conversion of plain text to the ciphertext. We can call it as a encryption process. So what happens at the receiver side? Decryption process. Decryption is reverse. So that is the ciphertext to plain text. So here, according to this particular rule, so A minus 2. So whatever the letter I am receiving here at the sender side, J. So we need to backward to the 2 letters. So automatically at the receiver side, I am getting H. Similarly for Q, O. So like this, I am getting my plain text at the receiver side. Right? So this is the second principle. See, this is a scenario encryption and decryption process. See, sender as well as the recipient or receiver. Right? See, sender wants to send some text, say hello. That particular text, that is plain text, first of all, that is entered into the encryption state, encryption process. Then, which is converted into the text, we can call it as a encrypted text. Encrypted text. Right? So, how this particular hello, which means plain text converted into the ciphertext means with the help of the public key. That is the recipient's public key. With the help of this particular key, this plain text is converted into the ciphertext. Now, that particular ciphertext is entered into the decryption state at the receiver side. Again, this recipient's private key is communicates with the decryption process, whatever the text which is available at the decryption state, and finally it produces the plain text. See here, this is the plain text and this is the plain text received at the receiver side. So those two are same. So this is a simple encryption as well as the decryption process. So in the next classes, we are going to discuss in detail about this encryption as well as the decryption process. Then coming to the layered architecture in TCP IP. Layered architecture in TCP IP. See, basically we have two categories of network models. Two categories of network models. What are those? First one is ISO OSI. Second one is TCP IP. Right. See, International Standard Organization, which defines OSI reference model, Open System Interconnection. OSI means Open System Interconnection. Whereas TCP IP, Transmission Control Protocol, as well as the Internet Protocol. So, coming to this layered architecture in TCP IP, whatever the communication protocol we are going to discuss, that particular communications protocol defines the rules for sending blocks of data. That particular blocks of data here, we can call it as a PDU, Protocol Data Unit. So generally, whenever we need to discuss about this particular transmission control protocol, there we can call it as a TPDU. That is actually unit TPDU, Transmission Protocol Data Unit, from one node in a network to the another node. Right? See, these are the generally layers. Right? In TCP IP, see, physical layer, link layer, network layer, transport layer, application layer. How these particular protocol data units according to the layers. See, for example, in case of physical layer, that is the protocol data unit. In case of link layer, we need to call it as a frames, the data transmission. So how the data is transmitted from one node to another node in the form of a frames in data link layer. Then network layer, we can call it as a datagrams, transport layer, segments, and finally application layer, we can call it as a messages. Right? See, particularly if you take any real-time applications, there are so many different functions, right? So we can call it as a one suite or stack of functions. So based on this particular suite of protocols are usually defined. These protocols are usually structured together to form a layered design, which is called as a protocol stack. The protocols are usually structured together to form one layered design that is called as a protocol stack. Because most of the telecommunication network architectures which are currently being used, layered architecture only, layered protocol architectures only. How these layered protocol architectures are helpful whenever we need to transmit some information between various nodes. See here, this is the overview of layering of protocol functions. So previously discussed that OSI, Open System Interconnection. See, we have 7 layers in OSI reference model. We have 7 layers, right? So those 7 layers are communicated. For example, here we can mention it as a bottom-up approach, right? So at the lowest level, the OSI layers are physical layer and data link layer. Physical layer and data link layer. Those two are communicated through some network interface. Then OSI 3 and 4 layers. That is network layer and transport layer. Network layer and transport layer. Then 5-6 layers, or we can call it a middleware. That is simply say that session layer as well as the presentation layer and finally application layer. Right? So this is the actual overview of layering of any protocol function. Right? So that's why generally this particular OSI here we can call it as a reference model. Just this is for reference model, but for actual implementation purposes, any application which uses the TCP/IP reference model. See, the basic idea of a layered architecture is to divide the design into the small pieces. Each and every layer adds to the services provided by the lower layers in such a manner that the highest layer is provided a full set of services to manage communications and run distributed applications. Each and every layer, in case of OSI reference model, the physical layer provides some services to the data link layer. Data link layer provides some services to the network layer. Network layer provides some services to the transport layer. Until each and every lower level layer provides some services to the upper level layers. So that is the basic idea of layered architecture. Right? Then coming to the network criteria. See, a network must be able to meet a certain number of criteria. What are the criteria? So what are the various terminologies we may use for further classes, right? So how can we say that this particular network is good, right? So for example, I am using the JioFiberNet. So I can refer to my friends, oh, JioFiberNet is very good. How can I say that? Right? So we need to take into the consideration. First one is performance. Second one is reliability. Third one is security. So the most important of these are performance, reliability and security. So performance may be measured in many ways, including what is the transmit time and what is the response time. See, transit time is the amount of time required for a message to travel from one device to the another device. Right? So, if I am using very high bandwidth network, there I need to transmit just word file. It takes very less time in the form of nanoseconds or milliseconds. Is it right? So at the same time, whenever I am using that much of bandwidth and while I am transmitting some video file, it takes some more time. Is it right? So based on this, I can say that my network performance is good. My network performance is good. So transit time is the amount of time required for a message to travel from one device to the another device. Similarly, response time. What is meant by response time? Response time is the elapsed time between an inquiry and a response. Right? So simply whenever I need to search in the Google IAR, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, Hyderabad, then how much time it takes to open that particular IRE site. So that is the response time of my network. Is it right? So the performance of a network always depends upon number of factors, including the number of users which use that particular network and what is the type of transmission medium we are using. Either we can use a connection oriented or connectionless. Then the capabilities of the connected hardware and the efficiency of the software. So always this particular performance is often evaluated by two networking metrics. Those are throughput as well as the delay. These two are important metrics while we measure the performance of any particular network. Right? Then what is reliability? So these network channels as well as the components may be unreliable. So we don't know how that particular cable may sustain, how much time it takes to transmit the data, resulting in loss of bits while data transfer. That is the reliability that depends upon what are the communication channels we are using. So an important design issue is to make sure that the information transferred is not distorted. That is the main aim. So whatever the information we are ready to transmit, that particular information may be reach to the destination within the time or somewhat we take some more time. That depends upon the network. Then security. So here the network security issues, which includes the protecting data from unauthorized access. So nowadays this is very much important, because security, each and every application gives some preference to the security, because whatever the data, whatever the information, that particular information must be secured from unauthorized users. That means protecting from damage as well as the development, and implementing policies as well as the procedures for recovery from breaches as well as the data losses. So in the worst case, whenever my data is accessed by some third party, that is unauthorized users, then there are some mechanisms how we need to rectify that particular data. Right? So that's why nowadays each and every application provides more importance to this particular security. Next, coming to the network model. So already we know in the introduction part, network models, that is first one is ISO OSI, second one is TCP IP. Right? ISO OSI, International Standard Organization, which describes OSI, Open System Interconnection. Then second one, TCP IP, Transmission Control Protocol, as well as the Internet Protocol. See, suit or stack, right? So TCP IP protocol suit, Transmission Control Protocol, that is a inter-software protocol. Because here, TCP IP protocol suite, which is having the 4 layers. So we can call it as this is a 4-layer protocol suite which defines the exchange of transmission across the internet. The exchange of transmission, that particular transmission may be data. What type of data? We don't bother about that. The network don't bother about the type of data. Right? So, which describes how securely we need to transmit that particular information from one node to the another. See, this particular TCP IP, the Defense Communication Agencies established this TCP IP suite in 1982. In 1982. See, this is the TCP IP model. TCP/IP model, right? See, we know TCP/IP is a 4-layer protocol suite. So layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, layer 4. Right? See, what happens in these 4 layers? For example, let us consider 2 desktop systems are communicated through some email. So, that particular system as well as the email is operated by the user only. But according to this scenario, how these 2 systems communicates to each other. That means whatever the data they are ready to transmit with the help of the email. See, the layer 1, that is the link layer. Here in case of TCP/IP, the link layer, which is also known as the physical layer. So always we need to compare with the previous standard reference model, that is OSI reference model. Right. So we know in case of OSI reference model, for understanding purpose, here I need to mention that OSI reference model. Right. The bottom layer, that is the physical layer. Next one, data link layer. Next one, network layer. Next one, transport layer, session layer, presentation layer, and application layer. So these are the standard layers in OSI reference model. So while compared to this OSI with TCP/IP, see, in case of TCP/IP, the layer 1, that is the link layer, which is also known as physical layer, where the MAC address, medium access control address of the device is attached and sent as electric signals over a cables. If these 2 are communicated through connection oriented manner, then we need to transmit the data in the form of the cables. If these 2 are communicated through satellite, that is a wireless, then automatically we need to transmit the data through wireless. And whatever the data which is transmitted through this particular link layer, those are interpreted on the other end. Right? Then similarly, the next level, that is the layer 2, that is the internet layer. So internet layer, which attaches the sender's IP address to the packets. So in case of networks, whatever the data we are transmitting, that particular data while transmitting through any particular network, there we can call it as a packets. Right? So here in case of layer 2, that is the internet layer, which attaches the sender's IP address to the packets and directs them to as well as the from devices. So from where we need to access data and to which node we are ready to transmit that particular data. So this particular process is done through the routers only. Right? Then the next level, that is the layer 3, that is the transport layer. Right? So we know the transport layer, which performs only the transmission of that particular data packets from one node to the another node. So what happens whenever the transport layer receives the data packets from the network layer, which breaks the encoded email, because here the data is we can call it as a email, because these 2 desktop systems are transmitting that particular email. Right? So the transport layer breaks the encoded email into the packets using the TCP, and which tells the recipient how many data packets there will be and what are the numbers of data packets. Right? So based upon that, the TCP layer, that is a transport layer, identifies that how many data packets are sent or delivered. Right? If they are transmitted in the sequential order or not. So all these details gathered by this particular transport layer, that is the layer 3. Then finally layer 4. We know the layer 4, that is the application layer. Application layer encodes whatever the data which is extracted from the below layer, that is a transport layer. The application layer encodes the email and adds a header. That particular header here we can call as a SMTP, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, because we are using this particular SMTP for email transactions, right? So it is then sent to an email server. Then the server will add a POP, that is a post office protocol, or IMAP, Internet Message Authentication Protocol. Internet Message Authentication Protocol header for the recipient to download. So what happens whenever the application layer uses this particular SMTP for email server, and the server will add a post office protocol or IMAP, Internet Message Authentication Protocol. Then only whatever the data that is in the form of the email transmitted from the sender to that particular email is as in order, the receiver also receives that particular information. So this describes that how the TCP/IP model will work. See, this is the TCP/IP protocol suite. That means we know what are the various layers which defines the TCP/IP, and this particular TCP/IP protocol suite which defines what are the various protocols are available at each and every layer. See, at the bottom layer we can call as a link layer, which is also called as a network access layer, because this is a combination of, according to our OSI reference model, this is a combination of both physical as well as the data link layer, right? So in this particular link layer we have ARPANET, SATNET, packet radio, and LAN. ARPANET, Advanced Research Projects Agency and Network. SATNET, packet radio, LAN. So there are number of protocols which are networks which are defined under this particular layer. Then coming to the next upper layer, that is a network layer. So in case of network layer we have ICMP, Internet Control Message Protocol, then IP, Internet Protocol, Address Resolution Protocol. Then coming to the next one, transport layer, TCP and UDP. So this is very important, because whatever the applications nowadays we are going to implement, each and every application may be either connection oriented manner or connection less manner. That is either wide networks or wireless networks. See, for wide network or connection oriented systems, you are going to use this particular TCP, Transmission Control Protocol. Then for wireless or connectionless systems, you are going to use this particular UDP, User Datagram Protocol. Similarly, the upper layer, that is the application layer, always the end user direct communicates with the application layer only, because the end user doesn't bother about the remaining layers, right? So what type of protocol we are using, what type of network protocol we are using for this application, that end user doesn't bother about that particular thing. Only the end user concentrates on how this particular application will works, right? So always the end user direct communicates with the application layer only. See, for that here there are number of protocols like Telnet, FTP, File Transfer Protocol, SMTP, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, and DNS, Domain Name Systems. So this describes the TCP/IP protocol suite. So coming to the description about the TCP/IP protocol suite, link layer. You know the TCP/IP doesn't specify any specific protocol, the protocol defined by the corresponding software. See, what are the various networks as well as the protocols which are defined under each and every layer. For example, link layer, which is having the ARPANET, Advanced Research Projects Agency software. It's the old first packet switching software and core software came to compose the global internet. So this ARPANET is redefined as DARPANET, that is Department of Defense introduced this system. So that's why which is called as a DARPANET. Department of Defense introduced the Advanced Research Projects Agency software. Then SATNET, which is also known as the Atlantic Packet Satellite Network. Actually, SATNET means satellite network, but which is known as Atlantic Packet Satellite Network, which is an early satellite network which forms an initial segment of the internet. Right. Then this ARPANET and the National Physical Laboratory Network, which discuss and defines this particular satnet. Then packet radio. We know packet radio, that is a digital radio communications mode which is used to send data in the form of the packets. So the packet radio uses packet switching to transmit datagrams. So we know packet switching. So this is source and this is destination. Whenever I need to send some information, for example, our previous example, how are you? Right. So while these two nodes are communicating through network, so automatically these are transmitting data in the form of the packets. So depends upon the network, what is the packet size. See, for example, my packet size is only 3 characters. For example, how, right, are you, something. Right. So the packet radio which uses packet switching to transmit datagrams. Datagrams in the sense these two nodes are communicated through wireless. Here the packet radio can be used to transmit data for longer distances. Then coming to the next upper layer, that is the network layer. We have number of protocols in network layer. First one is ICMP, Internet Control Message Protocol. Internet Control Message Protocol which helps for sending query as well as the error reporting messages. Then IGMP. This is similar to our ICMP, but IGMP stands for Internet Group Message Protocol, which is particularly helpful for simultaneous message transmission to any particular group. Right. So whenever I need to transmit the same information to one particular group, some set of students, then I can use this particular Internet Group Message Protocol. Then third one, ARP, Address Resolution Protocol, which is particularly used to associate IP address as well as the physical address. So we know for each and every node, there exists some physical address and there exists some IP address. It is used to find physical address when its intended address is needed. That is the importance of the ARP, Address Resolution Protocol. Then RARP, that is the Reverse Address Resolution Protocol. So Reverse Address Resolution Protocol which allows the host to discover its internet address when it's known only if physical address is there. So that is the importance of the Reverse Address Resolution Protocol. Then IP, Internet Protocol. See, this is very important. So we have IP, basically 2 versions, Internet Protocol version 4 and Internet Protocol version 6. See, Internet Protocol version 4, that is a 32-bit or we can call as a 4 8-bit numbers. See, this is the IP address. For example, let us say this is the IP address. See, this IP address is divided into the network address as well as the host address. Right? See here the 18 which specifies the network address, whereas 26 that specifies the host address. Similarly, Internet Protocol version 6 is 128-bit length. 128-bit length. So there are differences. What are the basic difference between IP4 and IP6? Right? We will discuss in the next class. Then coming to the upper layer, that is the transport layer. So we know transport layer is having the 2 protocols, namely TCP and UDP. See, already we discussed about this TCP, that is a transmission control protocol, which is a connection oriented protocol. Right? Here the session is established before exchanging data. See, the best example for this TCP is a landline telephone phone. Right? While you are using the landline telephone phone, only on the basic 3 principles: request, use, release. Right? So first of all, we need to dial a number. Then it takes some time to connect to that particular number or node. So once it is connect, then we hear the ring sound. Once the receiver picks up the call, then we need to transmit whatever the data. Right? Hi, how are you? Something like that. So that particular data may be ordered in the sequential order only. So that means the session is established before exchanging the data. So here there is a reliable delivery. That means what are the data packets we are transmitting in the same order? Only the receiver receives that particular data packets. If any data packet is lost, then the sender may receive acknowledgement for that particular data packet. So how it is possible means with the help of the sequence numbers as well as the acknowledgements. For each and every data packet, there exists some sequence number. See, in the previous example, how are you? This is my data. Right, so this is one particular packet, this is another packet, this is another packet. Now these packets are transmitted from source to destination. See, first of all, this is the packet 1, how may be transmitted from source to destination. Automatically the destination again sends one acknowledgement for this particular packet 1. That means whenever the source node receives acknowledgement 1 means which identifies that my packet 1 is transmitted successfully to the destination. Similarly, next packet is R, A-R-E. So whenever the receiver transmits the acknowledgement for 2, then the source node identifies that my data packet which consists of R successfully transmitted. Like this, there exists a reliable delivery, and with the help of the sequence numbers as well as the acknowledgements. Here the information will be divided into the small units called as a segments. So here we can talk about the transport layer. We can call it as these are the segments 1, segment 2, segment 3. Whenever we need to talk about the network layer, we can call it as packets, packet 1, packet 2, packet 3. See, this is the transport layer. Port number as well as the description. So, right, there are some port numbers which describe something about that particular information. So 20 means FTP data channel, 21 means FTP control channel. So like this for telnet, for FTP, there are number of port numbers the transport layer may be used. Then UDP, user datagram protocol. User datagram protocol which is specified in 1980s, which provides connection-less service. There is a difference between TCP and UDP. TCP is purely connection oriented, whereas UDP which provides connection-less service. That means doesn't support sequencing or flow control. These two are very important, because in case of TCP, sequencing means whatever the order, the data segments that TPDUs, data segments are transmitted in the same order only, the receiver can receive that particular information. Whereas in case of UDP, doesn't support the sequencing or flow control, which is used in client server applications. Particularly, the UDP may be used in client server applications. In what way? Used for transmitting speech or audio. Used for transmitting speech or audio. So that is the main introduction part of UDP. Then we have a number of transmission protocols like stream control transmission protocol. It is a transport layer protocol which combines the good features of both the TCP as well as the UDP. So this SCTP, that is stream control transmission protocol, which supports new applications such as IP telephoning. So finally, application layer. So we know application layer, always the end user directly communicates with the application layer, right? Nowadays, whenever I need to transmit one email to my professor, right? So I may not directly contact with my professor. Through only his mail ID only, I need to communicate with my professor, right? So that means always the end user communicates with the application layer protocols only. See, for example, the first one is a telnet, that is the terminal network. So this is the very famous one in earlier days, a virtual terminal protocol which allows user or one machine to log on to a different machine. That is the telnet. Then FTP, file transfer protocol, which is introduced around 1970s, which is used to transmit the information from one machine to the another machine. That is the FTP. You are very familiar about the FTP as well as the SMTP. Third one is SMTP, simple mail transfer protocol. So nowadays we are using for email purposes. And fourth one is DNS, domain name system. Right? This is very interesting concept, domain name system, because the function of DNS is to translate domain names into the IP addresses. So whatever the domain names, those domain names are translated with the help of this DNS into the IP addresses, which computers can understand. Only the system can understand only the IP addresses. So that's why here the DNS is to translate domain names into the IP address. For example, the domain name, for example, ire.ac.in. Right, this is one educational institution domain name, IARE. Right, .ac.in. Similarly, gmail.com, .edu. So there are number of domains, but this DNS which convert that particular domain names into the IP names, then only the computers may be understood. Right. So another important thing is DNS, which is used to map the names on the network addresses. Right. So it is a very numerical structure. The best example for this postal system. So this is the protocol layering. Right. So in this class, we discussed about what is meant by protocol, what is meant by protocol layering, and what are the various network models, ISO OSI reference model and TCP/IP reference model, right? And then what is TCP/IP and what is TCP/IP protocol suite. Within that particular protocol suite, how each and every layer is differentiate. What are the various protocols as well as the networks or layers which describes different layers of TCP/IP. What is the importance of each and every layer? So in the next class, we are going to see what is meant by OSI reference model and what are the various layers of OSI reference model, what is the importance of each and every OSI reference layer of OSI reference model, and we need to compare both ISO OSI reference model and TCP/IP reference model. Right? Thank you. We'll meet in the next class.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.